Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe.
Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe.
Jaya Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Jaya Nitai
Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Jaya Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Jaya, Nitai Sacinandana Gaura Hari.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Vishnupada Panamans Prayojakacharya Shro Prasada Shri Srimati Shivan Grace Shri Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrind ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mathura Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Yamuna Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samved Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshataya Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanastu Krishne Bhatirastu Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So today we're going to read from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita chapter 8 texts 16 to 20, the 5 verses that we discuss always. And so this is the chapter 8 is attaining the supreme Purushottam Yoga. So Akshara Brahma Yoga actually. It is Akshara Brahma. So Krishna is explaining about the transcendental nature of the spiritual world. So he explains. So we have discussed in the last session. Krishna was mentioning about Mamupetya Punarjanmam Dukkhalayam Shashvatam Napnuvanti Mahatmana Samsiddhim Paramam Gataha. So that was 15. So Krishna was mentioning about when one attains Krishna's abode, then there is no Punarjanmam, again taking birth. In what? Dukkhalayam Shashvatam. In this world which is a place of misery and which is temporary. So that now Krishna talks in verse 16. He talks about the different lokas, different realms in the material world, basically. So we'll talk about this. Abrahma bhuvana lokaha.
Abrahma bhuvana loka.
Punar avartino arjuna.
Punar avartino arjuna.
Mamupetya tu kaunteya.
Mamupetya tu kaunteya.
Punarjanma na vidyate.
Punarjanma na vidyate.
Word by word. Abrahma bhuvanat.
Abrahma bhuvanat.
Up to the Brahmaloka planet.
Up to the Brahmaloka planet.
Lokaha.
Lokaha.
The planetary systems.
The planetary systems.
Punaha.
Punaha.
Again.
Again.
Avartinaha.
Avartinaha.
Returning.
Returning.
Arjuna.
Arjuna.
O Arjuna.
O Arjuna.
Mam. Onto me.
Onto me.
Upetya.
Upetya.
Arriving. To. But. Kaunteya.
Kaunteya.
O son of Kunti.
O son of Kunti.
Punaha Janma.
Punaha Janma.
Rebirth.
Na.
Never. Vidyate. Takes place. So the translation here is from the highest planet.
From the highest planet.
In the material world.
In the material world.
Down to the lowest.
Down to the lowest.
All are places of misery.
All are places of misery.
Wherein repeated birth and death.
Wherein repeated birth and death.
Take place.
But
one who attains. To my abode.
To my abode.
O son of Kunti.
O son of Kunti.
Never takes birth.
never takes birth
again.
again.
So here Krishna is mentioning about the material realm. So just like it's kind of interesting. In the next verse, Krishna will actually mention about how the lifespan is different in different material worlds. So here Krishna is mentioning about how in the material world there are different regions in the material world. So starting with Brahmaloka, then Satyaloka, there are 14 planetary systems. So Brahmaloka is the topmost planetary system. The Bhuloka, in which the planetary system in which we are in, the earthly planetary system, that is the middle planetary system. And then below the earthly planetary systems are the Patala Loka, all the planetary systems that are. So basically, what happens is, depending on what modes we are in while we are giving up our body. So if we are in predominantly in mode of goodness, Krishna says urdhvam gachanti satvastha. So if we are predominantly in mode of goodness, then at the time of death our mode will be mode of goodness. So then the people who are in mode of goodness will go to the upper planetary systems. Urdhvam gachanti satvastha, madhye tishtati rajasa. People who are in mode of passion, they will be in the middle planetary systems. Jaghanya guni vrittistha adho gachanti tamasa. The people who are in the mode of ignorance predominantly, they go into the lower planetary system, lower species of life. So this is E rupe brahmanda brahmite kono bhagavan jeev Guru Krishna prasad paye bhakti lata beach. It is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It says that the living entities since time immemorial are taking birth in different planetary systems. So it is quite interesting. The Brahma is also a living entity. It is Brahma. Even if you look at it from the perspective of the temples that we have, there is only, I think in Pushkar it is, there is a temple of Brahma. But generally, there are no as such temples of Brahma. You'll see temples of Lord Vishnu, different forms of Lord Vishnu, right? Krishna, Rama,
Padmanabha.
Venkateshwara, all those are Vishnu's forms. And then you'll find lots of Shiva temples as well. You'll find Devi temples, Parvati, Durga Devi. This Brahma is actually a position that any living entity can take. It's quite interesting. At certain point in time, we as living entities would have taken the position of Brahma. This is because it's a position. So what happens in the Brahma position is, one is in a very close connection with Krishna. Because where is Brahma coming from? When we see the Lord Vishnu is lying in the Garbhodaka ocean, and he is lying on the Sheshanaga, and then we see from his navel the lotus is coming, and in that lotus Brahma is situated. And then Brahma tries to understand, how did I come? He tries to go and see the source, but he is not able to find the source. Then Brahma hears the word tapa. He hears that I have to do austerity, I have to do penance. And then he focuses on the Lord. And then after focus for thousands and millions of years, he tene brahma hridaya adikave. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that the Lord, situated in the heart of Brahma, gave him that knowledge, the transcendental knowledge. And then Brahma understood why he came into existence and what his purpose was. Then he involved in the creation of the material universe. So this is the from the Brahmaloka planet, a Brahma Bhonaloka Punaravartina Arjuna. Krishna here mentions that there is cycle of birth and death. Mamupetya tu Paunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. But someone who comes to the abode of Krishna, the Goloka Vrindavan Dham, Punarjanmana Vidyate. So how does one go to Janma Karmam Cha Me Divyam Evam Yuveti Tatvata Tyaktva Deham Punarjanmam Neti Mameti So Arjuna. Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad-Gita, if someone in Tatvata means totally experientially, one understands that Krishna's birth and Krishna's activities are divine, divyam. Tatvata, tyaktva deham punarjanma meti. Krishna says that after giving up this body, one does not get another material body. Then what happens to such a person? Mameti so kaunteya. Mameti so Arjuna. He comes back to me, O Arjuna. So, this is so Krishna, being very costlessly merciful to all the devotees, he personally comes down in the Goloka, from the Goloka Vrindavan Dham, he comes to the Bhaumya Vrindavan Dham in the material world. So it is a replica of the spiritual world. And then the people who have that surrender attitude to Krishna, they get a chance to serve Krishna directly. And then when they serve Krishna directly in the Bhaumya Vrindavan Dham, then they get that direct connection with Krishna in the material world. They get that, and then they are ready to go to the spiritual abode of the Lord. So this is the important thing here to understand is that as living entities, we are eternally part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna says, Mama eva amsha, jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. But what happens is, manaha shashtani indriyani, prakriti sthani kashati. The moment I identify myself with my body and with my mind, and then I think that this is the only reality, there is no other reality than this, then prakriti sthani kashati. Then in this material world, there is struggle. The struggle happens the moment we identify ourselves with our material body and material mind. But if we know that I am eternal, I am never born, and because I am never born, I will never die. That is my original nature. Na jayate mrite va kadachit. Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya ajo nityam shashvatoyam purano. Na anyate anyamane sharire. So Krishna says that this is like a person waking up from dream. So liberation is that. So liberation means mukti hitvanyatha rupam swarupena vyavastita. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Liberation means taking off the things that are constantly changing and being established in the eternal nature, in our eternal nature. That is what is liberation. And this is the liberation. This is an interesting point to understand. So there is one kind of liberation where one is directly in the spiritual world. There is another kind of liberation where one is directly in the spiritual world, but at the same time one is involved in the service of the Lord in the material world. Because the Lord empowers that living entity. That's called Shakti Avesh Avatar. Shakti Avesh. So that means he has empowered a particular living entity to work on his behalf so that that living entity can give his costless mercy to other living entities. So that is what Yasya Prasadat Bhagavad Prasado. There is a Guru Ashtaka prayer. Eight verses glorifying the Guru. One of the prayers, it says that when the Guru is Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasado. So if the Guru has become satisfied, the Lord becomes automatically satisfied. Yasya Aprasada Nagati Kutopi. If the Guru is not satisfied, then one cannot be anywhere. Dhyayam stuvam stasi yashastri sandhyam vande Guru Shri Charnaravinda. It is said that let me constantly think about this glorification of the Guru, who is in the beginning of that verse it says that this material world is like a blazing fire. Sansara dava analidha loka. Tranaya karunya dhana dhanatva. So basically what happens is when there is a forest fire, you cannot stop the forest fire in a normal way. It becomes very difficult to control the forest fire. I think it was seen in America some few months back or something. So it becomes very difficult to control forest fire. But how it can be controlled? If the rain falls, rain falls profusely, then the forest fire can go away. So what that particular verse is saying is that this material existence is like a forest fire. There are so many difficulties that come. Padam padam yat vipadam. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam at every step there is something or the other. Why there is something or the other? Because the whole premise on which we exist in this material world is unfortunately not solid, not a proper foundation. Because what, our original nature is eternal, but this body is temporary. So it's not based on a proper foundation. So immediately when I think that I am this body, there is a struggle, and then I think that at every step there is danger. Because Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. So there is birth, that means there is death. If there is birth, there has to be death. Between birth and death, there is Jara, which is the diseases, old age, and Vyadhi, which is the diseases. So this is the nature of the material existence. But in the spiritual existence, there is no birth, and because there is no birth, there is no death. And because there is no birth and death, there is no old age and disease. And so it is purely a situation where one is eternally in connection with Krishna and eternally blissfully serving Krishna. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantasya dridhavrata. It is Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad-Gita. The real existence is that one is constantly glorifying Krishna. And that is a natural position. But because we have been taking birth after birth after birth since time immemorial, there is lots and lots of covering. And this covering is what prevents us from being blissful irrespective of what is happening externally. Because that is our nature. But the moment I think that the only reality is body-based reality, and that is unfortunately the situation in the material existence, that it is very rare that someone has got this inclination. That is why Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kasyat yatati siddhayat. And there are billions and billions of people, very few among them try to attain perfection. Yatatam api siddhanam kasyan mam veti tatvata. Krishna says, even among the people who try to attain perfection, very few know me as I am. So it is very name vidu suragana prabhavana maharshaya aham adirhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvasha. Krishna says that even the great demigods and the great sages do not know me. And then we see this in the Brahma Vimohana Leela as well. Brahma himself, he tries to test Krishna. He does not, because he thinks that this small kid in a place in material world, how can he be the supreme person? So he tests. He steals the cows and the cowherd friends of Krishna, and then Krishna himself expands. And we discussed it in the last session as well. Then what happens is a very interesting thing. What happens is the parents and the relatives of those cows and those cowherd friends of who Krishna himself has become, that they start feeling more love and affection to that. So that actually indicates that the real, actually, even if we look at it from the perspective of our existence in this material world, who is actually loving someone? Like what is the basis of love? It is consciousness, right? If I don't have consciousness, my body is dead. Then who am I going to love, right? What is a dead body going to do? Nothing. So basically, what is happening is that the consciousness is one. It is in the sense that consciousness has got only one thing that it wants to do, and that is to connect with Krishna. That is Bhakti Yoga. That is pure. And when one is in that state, that is Anya Abhilashita Shunya. In that state, there is no other desire other than to serve Krishna. That is a pure state of existence. But when I identify myself with the body, then I have this desire to, this is what? Atmendriya Priti Vancha Tare Bole Kam Krishnendriya Priti Vancha Dhare Prem Naam. It is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita that if someone is trying to satisfy their own senses, that is like a desire. But if someone is trying to satisfy the senses of the Lord, that is love, pure love. The pure love is something that is totally not expecting anything in return. Generally, the love that mother has for the child. Generally, that is categorized in this material world. That is categorized in that very pure form, where there is generally they do not have. The only thing that they want is that their child should become a good person. They do not have anything else in their mind. So this is when someone is in love with Krishna, then the only thing that they think is how I can satisfy Krishna. They do not have anything else in their mind. Just the opposite thing is the person who is going to the Lord with lots of expectations. So generally that is a tendency, right? So if I get this, I will give this back in return to you, O Lord. So for example, I think there is in one of the place, I think in Hyderabad, there is a Visa Balaji. It's called Visa Balaji because people go there to get visa to go to US and all. And it is kind of really famous there that way, right? So basically I think, and then they have to do 100 pradakshina or something. I think they get the visa and then 108 pradakshina. So basically what is this? This kind of relationship is based on business. It is like a business relationship. What is business relationship? I give you something and I expect back something in return. That is business. What is pure love? Pure love is I just love for the sake of loving. There is no expectation, nothing else, and that is our actual situation. Like originally we are that, but somehow or other, because we have been taking birth after birth, we are thinking that this should be the way of modus operandi. That's why there is this verse, akama sarva kamava moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. That is mentioned in the scriptures. Akama means one does not have any desires, and sarva kama means one has lots and lots of desires, or one has moksha kama. Moksha kama means liberation. So either someone who has no desires at all, someone who has lots and lots of desires, or someone who has a desire for liberation. Tivrena bhakti yogena. It is mentioned in the scriptures in Srimad Bhagavatam that one has to tivrena. Tivrena means with full intensity. Bhakti yogena. Render loving devotional service to the Lord. Yajeta purusham param. Yajeta means worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This is what. Kama istaiste hrita jnana yajante anya devata. Krishna, we have discussed this in the previous chapter. Krishna says that when someone has got a particular desire, they go to a particular type of the deva who is responsible to fulfill that particular desire. Tam tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyata swaya. Krishna says that I give them that faith through which their faith becomes very strong to that particular demigod. But the real, one of the things about going to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is that when one goes with desires, he not only fulfills the desires of the people, but he also starts removing their desires. There is an example of Dhruva Maharaj. We have discussed this before. Dhruva Maharaj, very simple 5-year-old child, he wanted to sit on the lap of his father, but his stepmother said that you cannot sit on the lap of the father. Then Narada Muni comes and Narada Muni says that you can meditate on Krishna and then you will get what you want. You want to sit on the lap of the father. He meditates, he sees Vishnu, he says, Sthana Bilashi tapasi stitoham yam prapyavan deva munindra guhyam kachan vichinvan api divya ratnam swamin kritarthosmi varamna yache. What he says is that actually you are diamond, but I was looking for pieces of glass. So that is the unfortunate situation in this material world. Because I identify myself so strongly with the body, I'm kind of thinking only from this very short perspective of whatever this lifetime is. But the Lord knows about our, since time immemorial we have been taking, the Lord knows about that. So So the Lord is like that diamond, and he says, Dhruva Maharaj actually says that actually, diamond is what you are, but I was looking for pieces of glass. Then he says that Swamin Kritarthosmi Varamna Yache. Now I'm totally fulfilled and I don't want any boon from you. That's what he says. But actually the Lord, gives him the pole star status. He gives him his own loka, Dhruva Loka. So it's really amazing, the costless mercy of the Lord. He not only makes the person spiritually pure, but he also fulfills any kind of residual desires that they may have, and gives them more than what they would have ever expected. So this is the costless mercy of the Lord. So this is the Brahma Bhona Loka, Punaravartina Arjuna, Mamupete to Kaunteya, Punarjanana Vidyate. Then the next verse, here Krishna is explaining about the lifespan of Brahma. A very interesting one here. Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Viduhu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Teho Ratra Vido Janaha. So the word by word Sahasra, 1000, Yuga, millenniums, Paryantam, including, Ahaha, day, yet, that which, Brahmana, of Brahma, Viduhu, they know, Ratrim, night, Yuga, millenniums. Sahasrantam. Similarly, ending after 1000. Day. Ahaha. Ratra. Day and night. Vidaha. Who understand. Janaha. People. So the translation here is by human calculation. 1,000 ages. Taken together. Form the duration of Brahma's one day. And as such, also is the duration of his night. So here, so Kalpa, it is called Kalpa. Kalpa, a day of Brahma, and so Srila Prabhupada actually mentions in the purport about what is a day and what is a night. It's quite an interesting one. And the overall calculation of Brahma's life is 311.04 trillion years.
Oh.
From human calculation, right? If we calculate it from the perspective of this earthly life that we are in, Brahma's lifetime is 311.04 trillion years. So how it is there are 4 yugas, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga has 432,000 years. The Kali Yuga, the Dwapar Yuga has 864. So 2 times 432,000, 864,000. Then the Treta Yuga is 3 times 432,000. That is 12,000 something. And then 16,000 something is the Satya Yuga. So if you add all of them, it is 4,320,000. So basically, and then Sahasra Yuga, 1,000 such Yuga. So basically, when you add these 4, Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali, it is called one Mahayuga. The 4 of that is called one Mahayuga. That is 4,320,000 years. 1,000 of that is one day of Brahma. 1,000 of that Mahayuga. And then the same duration is a night of Brahma. That is what Krishna is telling you. So basically, the night and day of Brahma is equal to 8.64 billion years. And like that, he has got 360 days. And he lives 100 years of those 360 days. So if you multiply that 8.64 billion into 360 into 100, you get 311.04 trillion years. What we are trying to understand here is that there are different realms of existence, and each realm of existence has got its own unique properties. We can, even within this material world, we can understand. Like for example, there might be an ant. What is the lifespan of an ant compared to us as human beings?
Very less.
Right? So it will be like, so for the situation of an ant, the life of human being would be like 311 trillion years.
Yeah.
Right? So even within the material world, we have all these different living entities, and their lifespan can be comparable, like what we are comparing ourselves with the Brahmaloka planet, where Brahmaloka is the topmost planet. So this is this wonderful nature of this material world, where you have got all these different types of living entities, different types of planetary systems. And we have actually discussed as well that people who are doing pious activities, they actually take birth in higher planetary systems. But then once that pious credits are over, punya marke lokam vishanti. It is said that once the pious credits is over, they come back again to the material world, to the earthly planetary system. So this continuous, this is the thing, the challenge with, and this is a problem with the Karma Kanda section. The Vedas, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita that the Vedas are talking about the three gunas. So the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. It is talking about Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda. The different. So when one is in the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, there will be lots and lots of different rules and regulations one will follow. And then why is one following those rules and regulations? So that I get a very wonderful life in this life, and when I die, this life has to end at a certain point. I go into the heavenly planetary system, and then I enjoy even more there. But what is the problem? The problem here is that there is constantly punaravartina. The problem is that actually I am eternal. Actually, I do not have any birth. I do not die. But I am constantly taking birth and constantly dying. So that is the real problem. And when we are in that loving devotional service of Lord, we are actually solving the real problem. The real problem is this constantly punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. Srila Shankaracharya mentions in Bhajagobindam. He says that iha samsare bahudustare kripaya pare pahi murare. He says that, O Murare, O enemy of Demon Mura, this sansara, this material world is very difficult to overcome. Please give us your costless mercy, O Shri Krishna, so that, this is what Krishna says, Devi Hesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya. He says that this material energy of mine is divine, and it is very difficult to overcome it. Mame vaye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. Krishna says that someone who surrenders onto me, I help that person to cross over the ocean of birth and death. An example that is given is that of, if we think, if we say that in this material world, there is a prison area in the material world, but the whole material world is not a prison area, right? Prison area is a very certain small part of the material world where people who are unfortunately doing bad activities, sinful activities, creating trouble, they are put in the prison area. But how do they come out of the prison area? Once their sentence is over, they can come out of the prison area. Like for example, if someone has done lots of sinful activities, then they are getting impious credits. They are getting, you could get pious credits. You do nice activity, pious credits. You go to the upper planetary system. You do bad activities, you get impious credits. You suffer here, and then you go into the lower planetary system. But what happens is that credit is used up. Either the pious or impious, it gets used up. So like for example, someone coming out of the prison, they are sentenced to a certain time. Basing on what bad activities they have done, the court will say that this many years you have to be in prison. So then After that is done, they will come out. But if they want to come out quickly, what do? They would do very nice things within the prison. When they do nice activities, when the in charge of the prison, whoever it is, the superintendent in charge of the prison, when they see that this person is behaving so nicely, he doesn't need to be in the prison, they might actually reduce and they might send the person out quickly. Exactly, this is the thing. Like the whole material world from Brahmaloka onwards is the place where one is qualifying themselves to be in a liberated state. Just like in the prison, one is qualifying themselves to come back to a normal society and lead a normal life. The real normal life for every living entity is to be in the liberated position. That is a normal life. But unfortunately, in the disease condition, and this is what Srila Prabhupada says, he gives the example of someone suffering from jaundice. He gives this example. He says that someone suffering from jaundice, if they taste something sweet, it will taste bitter to them. Actually, it is sweet. But because they are in a diseased jaundice condition, it tastes bitter. But then if they keep tasting it, if they take medicine and all, they will become disease free, and then finally they will know that actually the sweet is sweet, it's not bitter. Exactly the same thing is in this material existence. Bhava Roga, it is called. This actual existence in this material world, unfortunately it is like a disease condition, unfortunately. Because our original situation is that we are eternal, but somehow or other, I always think that I am this body. And I always, I can have no other perspective other than this perspective of body and mind. So in that situation, it is unfortunately a kind of, the thing is that it is actually an abnormal condition, but people find it very normal. Why? Because constantly one has been taking birth after birth after birth after birth, so the material life looks like the real life. But the real life is spiritual life. Because nothing can exist without spirit. Because the consciousness is the basis of all kinds of experiences that we experience. Like experience is a reflection, and consciousness is just the fundamental source on which all the reflection happens. The example that they give is like looking at the mirror. Looking at the mirror, we see our face in the mirror. But is the face in the mirror real or is me real? Obviously, the me who is looking in the mirror is real. So what the example that the scriptures give is that all kinds of experiences that we are experiencing is like a reflection of consciousness. And the consciousness is our original existence. And this consciousness is Satchidananda. It is eternally existing, it is eternally conscious and eternally blissful. It is, but what is a body? It is Achit, Asat. Asat means constantly changing. At every moment my cell is changing. Asat, Achit. It does not have any consciousness by itself, the body. The body by itself is just a lump of matter. And it is Nirananda. Nirananda means it has no pleasure by itself. Because the source of all pleasure is the consciousness. And because the consciousness is there, I am able to experience things, and because I am able to experience things, I have either sadness or I have happiness. But I should myself not be defined by sadness and happiness. It is something that is going on in my experiential realm, but I am not the experiential realm. I am someone who witnesses the experiential realm, and that is the original way of existing in this material world. We become really, it does not mean that we do not enjoy happiness or we do not, experience sadness. Everything we do, but that does not define us. What defines us is our pure observation of everything that is happening. And that is so here in this Sahasra Yuga Paryantam, the important thing to understand here is the different lifespans that all the living entities can have across different planetary systems. And even within this material world, we are given an example of an ant versus a human being. An ant's life would be so small that for an ant, human being is like a Brahma's life, 311 trillion years. So this is the different aspects of material existence. Then we go to the verse 18. Avyaktad vyaktayah sarvaha
Avyaktad vyaktayah sarvaha
prabhavanti aharagame ratri agame praliyante tatrai ya vyakta samyake. So here the word by word is avyaktat, from the unmanifest, vyaktayah, living entities, sarvaha, all, prabhavanti, become manifest, aharagame, at the beginning of the day, ratri agame, at the fall of night, praliyante, are annihilated, tatra, into that, eva, certainly, avyakta, the unmanifest, samyake, which is called. Translation here is, at the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state. And thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. Okay, so this is how it's kind of really amazing. So this is Yasyaika Nishvasita Kalam Athavalambya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadanganatha Vishnur Mahansa Ihayasya Kalavishesho Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Vajami. It is mentioned in Brahma Samhita. Now, Brahma Samhita is the prayers that Brahma has spoken when he gets that knowledge from Krishna. So, in one of those verses, it is said that Yasyaika Nishvasita Kalam Athavalambya. So, when Mahavishnu is exhaling, there are innumerable universes coming out of it. And all this Brahma and everything is coming, the whole existence is coming, everyone is coming into existence, all these things are going on. When he exhales, everything goes back. So this is aham evasam evagre nanya gyat sadasat param paschadaham yadedacha yo avashishyate sosmiham. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita. This is one of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam verses, the 4 key verses of Bhagavatam. There Krishna is saying to Brahma that aham evasam evagre. I was the one who was existing in the beginning. There was nothing else existing. Nanya dyat sadasat param. Paschat aham yadetacha yo avashishyate sosmiham. And what is there in the end is me again. So this is aham adishcha madhyamcha bhutanam antamevacha. Krishna says that I am the beginning and the middle and I am the end of all the living entities. So it is basically, if one wants to remember Krishna, one can remember Krishna always. Because Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu. Krishna says, I am the living force everywhere. So we ourselves are existing with the living force. And because I have the living force, I am seeing all the living forces in others. So Krishna says, so this is, it's kind of unimaginable, from the perspective, from what we are at this moment, this particular body, this particular mind that we have got. It is really unimaginable, where the Mahavishnu is breathing and all these universes are coming out. Brahma is coming from Garbhodakshay Vishnu. He has got this 311.04 trillions of years. That is his life from our human thing. And then all this thing is just happening when the exhalation of Mahavishnu is happening. And this sahas, what Krishna is mentioning in this particular verse, during that one day of Brahma, all the living entities are coming into manifestation, and in the night they are all going into unmanifested state. Avyaktadini bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata avyakta nidhanani eva tatra ka paridevana. Krishna actually mentions in the second chapter. Krishna is mentioning that this is because we know that Arjuna did not want to fight, right? So Krishna gives so many different ways of understanding the perspective. So one of the things that he says is that why do you want to be so lamentful? Because we have come from unmanifest state. Now we are manifest, and then in the end we are again going to the unmanifest state. So why do you want to be lamentful? We had come from unmanifest, we are going into unmanifest. What is there to be? Why should you lament? This is so all these basically what we are trying to understand here is our spiritual nature, our eternal nature, and how all these things are being superimposed based on our ignorance. We have discussed this in the previous session as well. For example, there is a rope which is lying in a dark room, and I think that it is a snake, and I'm afraid of that because I think it is snake. But once the light is on, I see that it's not snake, it's a rope. So exactly that is the situation. When I am in the darkness of ignorance, I think that the only reality that exists is this material world and this body and mind that I have. But when there is knowledge, when we actually are in knowledge, we know that this is an instrument that I have, and this instrument somehow or other should be used in service of Krishna. So that is the important thing to understand that. And then the next verse 19. Bhutagramah sa evayam.
Bhutagramah sa evayam.
Bhutva praliyate.
Bhutva praliyate.
Ratri agame avasha partha.
Ratri agame avasha partha.
Prabhavati aharagame.
Prabhavati aharagame.
So what the word Bhutagramah?
Bhutagramah.
The aggregate of all living entities.
The aggregate of all living entities.
Saha. These. Eva. Certainly. Ayam. This. Bhutva. Repeatedly taking birth. Praliyate. Is annihilated. Ratri. Of night. Agame. On the arrival. Avashyaha. Automatically. Partha. O son of Pratha. Prabhavati. Is manifest. Aha. Of daytime. Agame. On the arrival. Translation again and again. When Brahma's day arrives. All living entities. Come into being. And with the arrival of Brahma's night. They are helplessly annihilated. So it's such an it's a little bit of an unfortunate condition, because our original nature is that we are eternally existing. It's not that. So basically, the eternal existence is based on our eternal form, Swarupa. It is called Swarupa. So there is one particular thing that when one is in the prema state, a pure love of Krishna state, there is one thing that is called Swarupa Siddhi. Now Swarupa Siddhi means when one is totally in pure love of the Lord, one knows one's spiritual form, in which one is eternally serving the Lord. So actually, all the living entities, of course, the living entities who want to have that spiritual relationship with Krishna, they have the spiritual form. But then there are some living entities who would want to become one with the Lord. That is called Sayujya. So there are 5 different types of liberation that is mentioned in the scriptures. The Salokya, Sarupya, Sashti, Samipya and Sayujya. So 5 different types of liberation. Salokya means being in the same planet as the Lord. Sarupya means having the same form as the Lord. Sashti means having the same opulence as the Lord. Samipya means being very close to the Lord. And Sayujya means becoming one with the Lord. There is one verse where Kapila Deva says that all these 5, Diya Manam na Grananti Vinayat Sevanam Jana. Kapila Deva says that all these 5 kinds of liberation, a person who is in love with the Lord does not want any of those liberations if it does not involve in them serving the Lord. So that serving the Lord is the prime focus of a person who is surrendered unto the Lord. That is the prime. So, and that is a natural position. That's why that Satatam Kirtayanto Mam is really important. Now Krishna actually mentions Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dhrudavrata Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upasate. Now Krishna says that my devotee is constantly Kirtayanta, constantly glorifying me. Constantly they are determined to Dhrudavrata. With full determination, they are engaged in my service. Yatantascha Dhrudavrata Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya. Constantly they are offering obeisances to me. Nitya Yukta Upasate. Always, eternally, they are engaged in my loving devotion service. So, Krishna, this is the difference between the Jnanis and the Bhaktas. The Jnanis, their focus is that this bhakti is being done until the stage of mukti. And in mukti, they talk about the Sayujya mukti. Sayujya means becoming one with the Lord. And then, once they are one with the Lord, who are they going to serve? If there is only one, who is serving whom? For service to exist, there has to be at least 2 people. Or there can be more people as well, because everyone is serving each other. There can be multiple. That is bhakti. Bhakti means there has to be Bhagwan, the Supreme Person. There has to be Bhakta, the devotee of Bhagwan. And then there has to be the process of bhakti, the actual connection that the Bhakta has towards Bhagwan. So this is the Vaishnava philosophy. Vaishnava philosophy is where there is all the other types, like we said of Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya and Sashti. Not Sayujya. Sayujya is one where it is the Jnanis. Jnanis, because Jnanis, they have this Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So the liberation for Jnani is that they are becoming one with the consciousness. Then there is only consciousness. They say that everything that we see as separate in this world is actually not real. That is a Jnani's vision. Because so basically, to a certain extent, there is some thing in that. But what Bhakta is saying is that in the spiritual world, the Lord has got a spiritual form. Like in the material world, my internal is eternal. Like I originally am eternal, but my external body is temporary. It constantly changes, it dies. There is all this cycle. But in the spiritual world, there is no difference between the spirit and the body. So that is the real Advaita according to the Bhaktas. So then, that's why Krishna says, Avyaktam Vyaktimapannam Manyante Mam Abuddhaya. Krishna mentions in one of the chapters in Bhagavad-Gita, he's saying that the people who are Abuddhaya, Abuddhaya means not much intelligent. They are saying that I have taken a form now. I was without any form and now I have taken the form. Param Bhavam Ajananta. So basically what Krishna is saying there is that there is a spiritual form as well. And in this particular verse, what is being mentioned is about Bhuta Grama Sa Evayam Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate. So basically it is talking about the living entities constantly taking birth after birth after birth after birth. So the day of Brahma, they are coming into existence. The night of Brahma, they go out of existence. But this is based on the bodily, the material aspect. But if you look at it from the spiritual aspect, there is only eternal existence. There is no unmanifest and manifest, unmanifest. Again manifest, unmanifest. There is nothing like that. There is only eternal existence, eternally in service of Krishna. So there is no concept of time and space. Like in this material world, we have this time and space. So everything is dependent on time and everything is dependent on what location we are. But spiritual world means it is independent of time, space. So then that means that it cannot be explained in this condition that we are in. That is why it's called achintya. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam. It cannot. But of course, if we can surrender onto the Lord will help us to understand what is that state and help us to attain that state. Actually, we are that. Tattvamasi. The scriptures say, this is a very important point to understand. So we are all always in liberated state. The only thing that we need to do is remove all the coverings. Once we remove all that is called sarvopadhi vidirmuktam. Narad Muni gives a definition of bhakti. What he says is bhakti starts when I give up all the designations. So basically the whole existence in this material world is based on designation. That I am from this country, I am son or daughter of so and so, I have these relatives. So everything is based on designation. So when I give up all those designations, then I know that the only designation that exists is Jivera Swarupaya Krishnera Nityadas. That I am an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. Then Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam. Then in that purified way, we can serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Until then, the service is not really pure. Because I have all these designations on me. And with that designations, I am serving with my ego. And when there is ego, until the time there is this false ego, one cannot have pure love for Krishna. The pure love, that is why Krishna says, Ahankara vimudhatma karta hamiti manyate. A person who thinks that they are the doers are in a difficult state of existence, because actually the work is being done by the modes of material nature. And the real us is doing nothing except being connected with Krishna. So that is what we can understand from this verse. So we can come out of that bhutva praliyate. If we know that we are eternally connected with Krishna. So this one is a very important verse here as well. Parastasmatu bhavanyo.
Parastasmatu bhavanyo.
Avyakto vyaktat sanatana.
Avyakto vyaktat sanatana.
Yasa sarveshu bhuteshu.
Yasa sarveshu bhuteshu.
Nashyatsu na vinashyati.
Nashyatsu na vinashyati.
So word by word, paraha.
Paraha.
Transcendental. Tasmat.
Tasmat.
To that.
To.
But. Bhavaha.
Bhavaha.
Nature.
Anyaha.
Another. Avyaktaha. Unmanifest. Avyaktat. To the unmanifest. Sanatana. Eternal. Yasaha. That which. Sarveshu. All. Bhuteshu. Manifestation. Nashyatsu. Being annihilated. Na. Never. Vinashyati. Is annihilated. So the translation here is, yet there is another unmanifest nature. Which is eternal. And is transcendental. To this manifested. And unmanifested matter. It is supreme. And is never annihilated. When all this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Okay, so basically, if you look at the 5 verses that we have discussed, this is the last verse that we are discussing. So Krishna was mentioning about that Brahmaloka, from Brahmaloka onwards, there is continuous cycle of birth and death. Then he talked about the lifespan of Brahma, which is 311.04 trillion years. Then he said that Bhutva Bhutva Praliyate, that the living entities are constantly taking birth, constantly. So they are going from unmanifest to the manifest state, and then going to unmanifest again, and then manifest again. The cycle of creation and destruction is constantly taking place. Now, in this last verse that we are discussing today, Krishna is talking about that paras tasmatu bhavanya. So there is a superior transcendental place, bhavanya, vyakta avyaktat sanatana. So basically, this whole material world from Brahmaloka downwards, all the planetary systems, that is constantly coming into existence, going out of existence, coming into existence, going out of existence. It's an eternal cycle of coming and going out of existence. But then he says that there is something above this Brahmaloka, which is eternal. It is eternally existing. So there is no that process, that place is not natad bhasate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yad gatva na nivartante tad dhamam paramam mama. Now Krishna says that is a place where there is no need of sun, there is no need of moon, there is no need of electricity or fire. The place where one goes, one does not return back to the material world. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhamam paramam mama. That's my supreme abode. So this is the goal of human form of life. In the human form of life, we have this ability to connect with Krishna, and when we are connected with Krishna, then one of the ironic things here is that it does not matter where one is located. So we have been discussing about all these things, right? Brahmaloka and material world, spiritual world, everything we have been discussing. But one of the interesting things that will come out is that actually the place of existence does not really matter. What matters is what is our connection with Krishna. If the connection is totally pure, then one can be in connection with Krishna despite being in any place. So there is a beautiful verse in the scriptures. It says, Narayana parasarve na kutaschana bibhyati. So if someone has totally surrendered onto Narayana, Shri Krishna, one is not afraid of anything. Na kutaschana bibhyati. Swarga apavarga narkeshu. So one might be in the upper planetary systems, Brahmaloka, Swarga. One might be in Apavarga. This material world is called Apavarga. So it's an interesting term. Apavarga means there is a Pavarga. Pavarga means this Pappa Babhama. In the Hindi Varnamala, in the Sanskrit also the same is used. You got this Pappa. So Pappa Babhama is, Pa is Parishram, Pa is Thena. Thena means when one is doing too much of, say, hard labor, the foam is coming out of one's mouth. Then Ba is generally called Vyartata, that unfortunately one is wasting one's energy in this material world. And Bha is Bhaya, fear, and Ma is Mrityu. So this is Pappa Babhama. So this material world is called Pavarga. Because all these things are happening in this material world. So Apavarga means when one is not in this material world, when one is in the spiritual world. So Swarga, Apavarga, Narkeshu. One is in the hellish lower planetary system. It does not matter because Api Tulyartha Darshana. Great example is Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj, there is an interesting story. Vamana Avatar, Krishna incarnated as a dwarf Brahmana, and Bali Maharaj was the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. So he because he was in the dynasty of the Asuras, the Indra and others wanted him to be taken off, and another actual demigod should be in the position as a heavenly king. So then Krishna took the incarnation as Vamana, dwarf Brahmana, and then he went to Bali Maharaj and he said that. So Bali Maharaj was really very saintly kind of person. He's grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. So he asked Vamanadev, "What can I give you?" So Vamanadev said, "Give me 3 steps of land." Then Shukracharya, his guru, he said that don't give anything to this person. He's come to cheat you. He'll take everything away from you. And he actually, there is an interesting story that they say, before he has to give, he has to, clean the legs of Vamanadev, using Kamandalu. Kamandalu is that with a small output, the water that they put, isn't it, right? On the feet of Vamanadev, and it is said that Shukracharya actually takes the form of a bee and he tries to cover Kamandalu, but he puts something to take off, and then that's why one of the eyes of Shukracharya is they say that one of the eyes, the left eye or something is you can't see. So basically, in that episode, that happens to Shukracharya. So then Shukracharya is trying to prevent him from doing that. At any cost, don't do that. Bali Maharaj, because he's grandson of Prahlad, pure devotee of Krishna, he wants to give. So he finally he does not listen to his guru. And this is one of the things that is important part to understand. That if something is really for the Lord, then all the other kinds of restrictions can be taken off, because that is a natural thing to do. There is a beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Devarshi bhutapta nrinam pitranam na kinkaram nayam rini charajan sarvatmanaye sharanam sharanyam dato mukundam parirutya kartum. What that verse is saying is that if someone has sarvatmanaye sharanam sharanyam, sarvatmana means the Lord is the Paramatma of all the living entities. So if someone has totally surrendered onto Krishna, sarvatmanaya sharanam, they do not have any kind of other obligations. Generally, when we are born, we are indebted. So we are indebted to the demigods, Deva, because the Devas are giving all this, like the wind god is giving wind, the different demigods. Deva, Rishi, the Rishis are giving knowledge to us, so we are indebted to them. Deva, Rishi, Bhuta, all the living entities, we are indebted because some way or the other they are helping us. Apta, our relatives. Nrinam, all the living entities. Pitranam, our forefathers. So all we are indebted to everyone in different ways. But what this verse says is that when we surrender purely to Krishna, then all kinds of debts are removed. Gato mukundam parirutya kartum. So this is and we see that from Bali Maharaj's thing as well. He finally, Vamandev becomes enormous, and with 2 steps he has taken everything, the whole material system, everything, all the planetary systems. Then he says, where should I put my 3rd step? Then Bali Maharaj says, please place this on my head. And then Bali Maharaj actually goes into the Patal Loka, but Krishna says, I will be your doorkeeper. This is just, this is the wonderful nature of devotional service. It is inexplicable. There is no, you cannot, one might say from the material perspective, one might think that Bali Maharaj has lost everything. But actually, what he has gained is unlimited times more than what he has so-called lost from a material perspective. That's why Krishna says, Neha Vikrama Nashosti Pratyavayama Vidyate Swalpam Apyasya Dharmasya Trayate Matobhaya. He says that there is no loss or diminution in this path. Even a small step in this direction saves one from greatest dangers. And it's costless mercy of the Lord that somehow or other, we have this inclination to involve in this discussion of Bhagavad-Gita. And thank you very much for listening. If there's any comments or questions, you can discuss.
So like you were mentioning that it is normal for us, this conditioned state. Because this is what we are saying, everyone is in this state. If someone is out of this state, only then we will see that something is different. How do we see that difference then?
Yeah, that's a good question. It depends on the level of surrender, how do we say, for example, there is this Titikshava Karunika Suhranam Sarvadehinam Ajata Shatrava Shanta Sadhavo Sadhu Bhushana. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So generally in this material world, we are wearing the jewelries and all. That is called bhushan. Bhushan means jewelry. So the external jewelry is worn, and then people look better, beautiful and all, right? With external jewelry. What they say is the saintly people have their internal jewelries, which make them look beautiful externally also. So what are those internal jewelries? It is said that titikshava, forbearance. Forbearance, karunika, costlessly merciful to everyone. Suhridam sarvadehinam, best friend of all the living entities. Ajata shatrava, for whom no enemy has been born. That is the meaning of that word. It's quite an interesting one. So that person does not have any enemies. Shanta, very peaceful. So if we see all these qualities in someone, titikshava, karunika, suhridam sarvadehinam, ajata shatrava, shanta, sadhavo sadhubhushana. So that is the actual jewelry of a sadhu. So someone who we can see in that respect, they are actually getting closer to their original nature as an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. And then we try and associate with those personalities, and then we also become closer to our original nature. So that would be the way I would say. So at the end of the day, it is based on how the interactions are taking place in this material world, right? Because we are all we cannot see the spirit, right? Spirit is actually the basis of everything, but we do not directly see the spirit. So how do we know that someone is spiritual? When we see the spiritual qualities in them. Externally, when we see the spiritual qualities, then we know that they are closer to their spiritual nature, and then that is so basically there is no judgment, there is nothing like that. That is how that person is going to behave, because they are just being the witness. That is our original nature. As consciousness, what does consciousness do? Consciousness just provides that consciousness. It does not. It is just an observer, and that's what we are actually. But in that, everything is there. There is. What is happening is that we get this particular body and mind, and then somehow we feel that all these experiences that we are accumulating is the only reason for existence. But actual reason for existence is the consciousness itself, which is just the observer. So I think that's the way to understand it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll sing the Narasimha prayer, right? Yeah. Okay. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Praladadaine.
Praladadaine.
Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha.
Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha.
Shilatankanatalaye.
Shilatankanatalaye.
Ito Narasimho Parato Narasimho.
Ito Narasimho Parato Narasimho.
Yato yato yami tato Narasimho.
Yato yato yami tato Narasimho.
Bahir Narasimho Hridaye Narasimho.
Bahir Narasimho Hridaye Narasimho.
Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prapate.
Narasimhamadim Sharanam Prabhate.
Sautaratamalavari Nakha Adhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipo Tanu Brinda Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagdish Hare Jai Jagdish Hare Jai Jagdish Hare
मकुटशृङ्गा ललिता हिरण्यकशिपो तनुभृङ्गा केशवद्रुता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव
जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव
जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय नरहरि
जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय नरहरि जय नरहरि
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय भक्त प्रहलाद
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल
नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल
नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय प्रहलाद महाराज की जय ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे सर्वं श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु कृष्णे मतरस्तु हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण